The subcommittee meets today to fulfill its obligation and oversight responsibility of examining the implementation of the Cybersecurity Act of 2015 since its passage last year, and to look at the necessary steps going forward to strengthen our nation's cyber defenses. Congress's job doesn't end when a piece of legislation is signed into law, and that's especially true when it comes to cybersecurity legislation. Continued oversight is essential to making sure that the bill is implemented in a manner that actually improves our cyber defenses. If agency guidance isn't clear, if tweaks need to be made, we want to hear that feedback, and we want to address those concerns. For that reason, we're pleased to be joined today by a distinguished panel of industry experts to discuss this very important issue. Pushing the Cybersecurity Act of 2015 across the finish line last year was a significant accomplishment that was years in the making. During that time, these witnesses that are here today and others representing critical sectors devoted substantial energy to collaborate with policymakers like me on the best path forward. Hundreds of hours of stakeholder outreach were conducted across literally every relevant industry group: energy, healthcare, financial services, technology, telecom, retail, you name it. And in the end, this bill recognized many of the practices that were already being deployed by these industry groups and codified them into law, while providing important rules for the road as well. My objective is to maintain that same posture as we assess the implementation of the Cybersecurity Act of 2015. This law recognizes the role of DHS's National Cybersecurity and Communications Integration Center, the NCIC, as the civilian portal for the sharing of cyber threat indicators. The key aim was to see that our cyber threat indicators containing critical information about the nature, methodology, source, and scope of cyber attacks would be shared with other parties so they, in turn, could fortify their own networks against future intrusions. In response to the devastating attack on the Office of Personnel Management, this law also bolsters DHS's ability to deploy intrusion detection and prevention capabilities across the federal government. I think we can all agree that the need for a stronger cybersecurity posture is clear. Every day, our country is facing digital intrusions from criminals and hacktivists, terrorists, nation-states. Cybersecurity is national security, and the impacts of those intrusions are being felt everywhere, from kitchen tables to boardroom tables across American companies. We can't tolerate acts of cyber threat and cyber warfare, especially when they result in the theft of intellectual property and innovation and put our nation's critical infrastructure at risk. We can't sit idly by while escalating ransomware attacks on our hospitals and our healthcare providers threaten our citizens by locking out access to their medical records. Cybersecurity breaches and data manipulation can undermine consumer confidence, and they can damage a company's hard-earned reputation in just a matter of seconds. And while we have yet to see a major corporation completely collapse due to a cyber attack, the possibility is no longer science fiction. One can only imagine the turmoil that would be caused if Americans suddenly found out that their checking accounts had all been drained. The loss of trust in our financial system would cause an economic meltdown. Nearly a third of CEOs surveyed recently identified cybersecurity as the largest issue impacting their companies today, and only half of those say they're fully prepared for a cyber event. We've learned that there are only two types of companies: those who have been hacked and those who don't know yet that they've been hacked. Information sharing between companies, the government, and critical sectors improves our ability to defend against all of these attacks. Beyond the impact on the private sector, safeguarding cyberspace is also one of the great national security challenges of our time, and the American people recognize this. In fact, a recent Pew Research poll, Americans named cybersecurity as their second biggest perceived threat, only to ISIS. Imagine a catastrophic cyber attack on our gas pipelines or the power grid. Such an assault on our critical infrastructure could cripple our economy and weaken our ability to defend the United States. Our adversaries are right now hard at work developing and refining cyber attack capabilities, and they're using them to intimidate our government and to threaten our people. But the threat extends beyond the industrial engines that drive our economy, right into the homes of the American people themselves. Criminals and countries alike can now use cyber attacks to raid American savings accounts or steal their personal health records. The recent breach at Anthem last year demonstrated the very real capability and intent of bad actors to prey upon Americans' most sensitive information. We can't leave the American people, the American economy, and our critical infrastructure to fend for itself. This is why Congress passed the Cybersecurity Act of 2015. Information is the currency of today's age, and we have to constantly work together across all sectors if we expect to stay one step ahead of our adversaries on this new battlefield. Congress must utilize rigorous oversight to ensure that DHS is fulfilling its mission to better protect our networks, and that's why we're all here today. I want to thank all the witnesses for testifying before our subcommittee, and I look forward to your testimony.